The mind is a garden, and every day you're either planting seeds of growth or weeds of destruction. And here's the truth most people never stop to consider. Your life doesn't spiral out of control all at once. It unravels slowly, one negative thought at a time, disguised as caution, worry, or logic. You see, the human mind is fertile ground, but it does not care what you plant. It will return anxiety as quickly as it will return ambition, if that's what you sow. And the tragedy of life is this. Most people lose the battle for their future, not in the boardroom, not on the battlefield, but in the quiet, unguarded spaces of their own mind. So the question is not, will you think? The question is, will you take command of what you think? Because if you don't, someone or something else will. And that's where destruction begins. Not with failure, but with the silent acceptance of thoughts that were never meant to guide you. You have to stand guard at the door of your mind like your life depends on it, because it does. The human mind is fertile soil, and it will grow whatever is planted in it. If you let in weeds, doubts, fears, criticisms, they will grow wild, choking out every seed of faith, ambition, and self-worth you try to sow. But if you choose to plant courage, discipline, and gratitude, and tend to it daily, your mind becomes a garden of strength. The trouble is, most people don't know they're the gatekeeper. They think whatever thought shows up has the right to stay. But that's not true. You are the watchman. You decide who enters. I remember a season in my life where I started listening to the wrong voices, people who said, "It's too late," or "You're not cut out for this." At first, I entertained those thoughts. I let them have a seat at the table, and like a poor host, I fed them. Before I knew it, I was doubting the very path I'd worked so hard to walk. One day I said, enough. I began to audit every thought and ask, does this serve me? Would I let a stranger speak this to my children, to someone I love? If the answer was no, I shut the door. The old Stoics had it right. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That power is self-mastery. And self-mastery begins with what you allow in. Just as you wouldn't let a thief into your home, don't let negative thoughts steal your peace, your joy, your future. Practice filtering your thoughts like a customs officer at the border. Ask, who sent you? What are you here for? Do you have permission to stay? And if the thought has no business in your mind, don't entertain it, don't debate it, just send it packing. Because when you let the wrong thoughts stay too long, they start to sound like your own voice. And that, my friend, is how they destroy you. It always starts small. Just a whisper. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? What if they're right about me? And if you're not careful, that whisper becomes a conversation. That conversation becomes a belief. And that belief, it becomes a habit of thought. Let me tell you something. I've learned from watching good men and women crumble from the inside out. Most of them weren't destroyed by giants. They were taken down by termites. Doubt small, at first allowed to stay, multiplies, and eventually it eats the whole foundation. I've seen it in business, in relationships, in personal growth. A man has a brilliant idea, but the moment he shares it, someone says, that sounds risky. That one comment plants a seed. If he doesn't pull it out right then, it grows. He hesitates, overthinks, waits too long, and the opportunity passes him by. And here's the tragedy. He doesn't just lose the opportunity. He loses confidence in himself. And the next time, he won't even try. In my early years, I struggled with it too. I'd be invited to speak and think, who am I to stand in front of these people? I let that doubt live too long. It weakened my conviction. But one day I realized something. Doubt and action cannot occupy the same space. So I began to act. Speak while doubting, move while shaking, decide even when uncertain. And I found the doubt began to shrink the moment I stopped feeding it. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Doubt is also a habit. But so is faith. So is courage. The trick is to recognize doubt when it's still a whisper and say, not today. Don't let small doubts fester. Don't let them grow teeth, because once they grow, they don't just stay small. They become fears. And fears, if left untreated, become diseases that rob you of your purpose, your joy, and your destiny. Starve the doubt. Feed the dream. That's how you keep it from destroying you. You can't change what you won't acknowledge. That's the first law of transformation. If you walk through your days unaware of what's happening inside your own head, you'll end up a stranger to yourself, and worse, a victim of your own thinking. Now, I'm not just talking about positive thinking. I'm talking about conscious awareness, the kind that stops you in your tracks and says, wait a minute, where did that thought come from? And who gave it permission to live here? Years ago, I caught myself thinking, maybe this is just the way life is. It sounded harmless, but I realized that belief had silently directed my choices for years. It kept me from trying new things. It kept me polite when I should have been bold. That's when I learned something powerful. Change begins not with action, but with awareness. The action comes later. First, you've got to see it. And I don't mean just glancing at it, I mean grabbing it by the collar and saying, I see you, and I'm not letting you run my life anymore. Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. And I say, the unexamined thought is a dangerous thing to carry. If you don't take time to examine what you're thinking, you'll never break the cycle. Negative thoughts will sneak in like old friends, dressed in familiarity, speaking in your voice and pretending they belong. Here's a practical thing I started doing. I began writing my thoughts down. Not the polished ones, the raw ones. The scared ones, the ones I'd never say out loud. And what I found shocked me. Half of what I believed about myself wasn't true. It was just inherited. Hand-me-down thinking from people who didn't know any better. But now I was aware. And once you're aware, you can choose. That's the power most people never use. So the next time a negative thought walks in uninvited, don't let it make itself at home. Stop it. Question it. Become aware of its source. Because once you become conscious of your thoughts, you've already taken the first and most powerful step toward changing your life. There's a quiet revolution waiting to happen inside each of USA, realization so profound it changes everything. You are not your thoughts. You are the thinker behind those thoughts. Most people live as if their thoughts define them, as if every negative whisper, every fearful doubt is who they really are. But that's not the truth. It's the mistake that chains many to a life of quiet suffering. Think of your mind as a garden. Every thought is a seed, but you are the gardener. You decide which seeds get water and sunlight and which get pulled out before they take root. Just because a weed sprouts doesn't mean you must let it grow wild and overtake the whole garden. The moment you realize you are the gardener, the one who plants, tends, and pulls up those seeds, your power returns. I remember a time when I faced a storm of self-doubt. It was relentless, attacking with thoughts that said, you'll never succeed, or you're not enough. But I learned to step back and observe. I told myself, these are just thoughts. They do not own me. I am the one watching them come and go. That simple shift freed me. It didn't erase the thoughts overnight, but it gave me the space to choose which ones deserved my attention. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, once advised, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. When you understand that you are the thinker, not the thought, you reclaim control. Negative thoughts are no longer tyrants. They become passing clouds in the sky of your consciousness. So, when those destructive voices start to echo, don't believe every word. Recognize that they are visitors, not residents. You have the power to decide which thoughts stay and which ones you let drift away into the distance. This awareness is the key that unlocks freedom from the chains of negativity. Your mind is like a garden, and what you feed it determines the kind of harvest you will reap. If you leave it unattended, it will start to feed on whatever is available, even if that means poison. Negative thoughts, doubts, fears, they're like weeds that can quickly take over if you don't intentionally plant something better. This is why it's so important to consciously nourish your mind with positive, uplifting, and constructive thoughts. Many times, people wonder why they feel stuck or overwhelmed by negativity. The answer often lies in what they allow into their minds daily. I've seen it in my own life, especially early on when I wasn't mindful about what I consumed, whether through books, conversations, or even the news. I would let in worry and pessimism, and naturally my mind began to spiral downwards. But when I made a deliberate choice to read the words of wise thinkers, to listen to encouraging voices, and to engage in conversations that uplifted rather than tore down, everything began to change. As the great philosopher Seneca once said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The mind loves to feast on what it's given. If you feed it fear, doubt, and criticism, that's exactly what it will grow stronger in. But feed it hope, confidence, and gratitude, and it begins to build resilience and joy. Your environment, what you read, who you talk to, even the stories you tell yourself are all the nutrients for your mental garden. It's not just about ignoring the bad, but actively seeking the good. Practice gratitude, seek wisdom from timeless sources, and surround yourself with influences that lift your spirit. The choice is yours. Nourish the mind with poison and watch it destroy your peace, or feed it with strength and watch your life transform from within. There's a saying that we often make mountains out of molehills, and nowhere is this truer than in the realm of our thoughts. When we allow ourselves to major in minor thoughts, we give small, insignificant worries the power to overshadow our entire day, our mood, and even our decisions. This is a subtle trap because these minor thoughts seem harmless at first. They creep in quietly, whispering doubts or concerns that feel manageable. But left unchecked, they multiply and consume your mental energy like a slow-burning fire that eventually blazes out of control. In my own experience, I've noticed that it's not the big obvious problems that often derail us, but the small, repetitive, negative thoughts we focus on day after day. For example, a slight criticism from a colleague or a minor setback can become a cloud hanging over your mind if you choose to dwell on it. But the secret to lasting peace is recognizing when a thought is truly worthy of your attention and when it's not. You don't need to give every passing worry the front seat in your mind. The ancient Stoics taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. So when a minor inconvenience or a fleeting negative thought shows up, challenge its importance. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? Is this thought helping me grow or simply distracting me? By learning to distinguish between major and minor thoughts, you conserve your mental energy for what truly matters, your goals, your relationships, and your personal growth. Remember, life is too precious to be stolen by trivial worries. You are the captain of your mind's ship. Don't let small, unimportant thoughts steer you off course. Keep your focus on the bigger picture and watch your mental clarity and strength deepen with every passing day. Discipline is often spoken of as the backbone of success, but it is also the master key to emotional control, especially when it comes to managing the storm of negative thoughts that can threaten to overwhelm us. Without discipline, the mind drifts aimlessly, surrendering to impulses and fears, allowing every fleeting worry or doubt to take root and grow. But with discipline, you build a fortress around your emotions, a stronghold where you can observe thoughts without being swept away by them. I remember early in my career when emotions could run high frustration at a setback or anxiety over uncertain outcomes. It was discipline that taught me to pause before reacting, to take control rather than be controlled. Discipline is not about denying emotions or pretending they don't exist. Rather, it is the practice of choosing your response deliberately. When a negative thought arises, discipline allows you to acknowledge it, but not give it permission to dictate your mood or decisions. There is wisdom in the old saying, "He who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." This is true because the battlefield of the mind is where real victory or defeat happens. Emotional discipline means training yourself to redirect your thoughts from despair to hope, from doubt to faith, from fear to action. It is like a gardener who consistently weeds out harmful plants so the flowers can bloom. In practical terms, this means establishing daily habits, whether it's meditation, journaling, or simply pausing to breathe deeply, that strengthen your emotional resilience. The more disciplined you become in these practices, the less power negative thoughts hold over you. You take the reins of your mind firmly in your hands, becoming the calm in the storm. Mastering emotional control through discipline does not come overnight, but each small step forward adds up. Remember, the key to freedom from destructive thoughts lies in your willingness to practice self-mastery every single day. There's a simple but powerful truth that many overlook. One bad moment should never have the power to ruin a good life. We all face moments when everything seems to go wrong. A harsh word, a sudden failure, a disappointment that shakes our very core. But if we allow ourselves to be consumed by that one moment, we risk throwing away all the good that has come before and could still come after. In my younger days, I remember a time when a failed opportunity felt like the end of the road. I was crushed, thinking that this one setback defined me, but life taught me otherwise. I realized that one dark cloud does not cancel out the sunshine of many bright days. The great Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." This reminds us that the power to move beyond a bad moment lies within us, not outside of us. Imagine your life as a book. One bad chapter does not spoil the entire story. The key is not to dwell on that chapter, but to turn the page and keep writing. Every moment offers a new chance to begin again, to rewrite the narrative with strength and grace. Holding on to a negative moment is like carrying a heavy stone in your pocket while trying to run forward. It weighs you down, drains your energy, and blocks your progress. I encourage you to develop the habit of resilience, the ability to acknowledge the bad moments without letting them define your identity or destiny. When you encounter hardship, face it head on. Learn what you can, then release it. Do not give it room to poison the beauty and potential of your life. Remember, the measure of a life well lived is not how many storms you face, but how you navigate through them and continue forward. One bad moment is just that, a moment. It does not own your future. Surrounding yourself with the right people is one of the greatest shields against the invasion of negative thoughts. In life, you will find two kinds of people: those who light candles, bringing warmth and illumination, and those who curse the darkness, deepening shadows with their complaints and doubts. It is no accident that your mind reflects the company you keep. Many years ago, I learned this lesson the hard way. Early in my career, I spent too much time with pessimistic companions who saw obstacles in every opportunity and drowned every idea in negativity. Their words crept into my thoughts like poison, filling me with doubts and fears I did not deserve. I realized then that negativity is contagious, and if you allow it inside your mind, it takes root and multiplies. The ancient philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." Choosing the company of those who uplift you is a conscious decision that protects your inner world. When you associate with people who encourage, inspire, and believe in possibility, you strengthen your mind's fortress against destructive thoughts. Think of your mind as fertile soil. If you plant seeds of encouragement, hope, and faith, they will grow into strong trees that bear fruit. But if you sow seeds of complaint, bitterness, and fear, the weeds will choke out your potential. You must guard what you let into your mind through the words and attitudes of others. I urge you to seek out those rare individuals who ignite a spark within you, who see light even in the darkest corners. Their presence is not just comforting, it is transformative. They will help you lift your gaze beyond immediate troubles and remind you that better days are ahead. Remember, your mind is precious, Protect it by choosing your companions wisely, for they are the keepers of your mental climate. The company you keep can either be the wind that extinguishes your flame or the breath that fans it into a roaring fire. Choose well. As we come to the close of this conversation, remember this truth. Your mind is the soil in which the seeds of your future are planted. If you allow negative thoughts to take root unchecked, they will grow into weeds that choke the life out of your dreams. But if you guard your inner gate, nurture your mind with wisdom, and choose your thoughts with intention, you become the gardener of your own destiny. The power to stop negative thoughts before they destroy you lies within your hands, and it begins with the simple yet profound act of awareness and choice. Life will always present challenges and moments of doubt, but how you respond to those moments defines the course of your journey. Don't let one bad thought become a habit. Don't allow the shadows of others to dim your light, and don't surrender your mornings to default emotions. Instead, stand firm as the watchman of your mind, disciplined and deliberate in your thinking.